You know, I really can't believe how easy it is to run a marketing agency. I mean, just 2 years ago, you know what you needed? A lot. And now you don't need it anymore. No graphic design, no copywriting skills, none of that is needed. Media buying, sales, operations, much more. You don't need any of this. And what I'm going to show you in this video is going to blow your mind, because if you follow along step by step, my promise to you is that I'll be showing you exactly how to get to $100,000 a month, because I myself, over the last 11 years, have scaled not just my own agency to over $2 million a year, but I've scaled multiple other agencies and brands by spending over $20 million on paid ads. And if I were to do agency all over again today, this is what I would do. So buckle up and let's get rocking. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing over here is we're going to be choosing a name for our agency. Okay. My first agency ever, I called it Roof X. Why? Because ultimately we were serving roofing contractors, and we wanted to basically have a play on words that it was like, you know, scale. And by having the name of the industry inside the actual name of our company, I think it made us stand out, rather than if we went with something like, you know, hyper scale digital. I wouldn't get so hung up on the name. I'd rather get hung up on the name of the unique mechanism, which we'll get into in just a sec over here. But name ultimately comes down to your own personal preference. And again, you can use things like ChatGPT or whatever to help you figure that out. So this is something that you could put into AI, and you should be able to spit out a name that has some sort of meaning, that has some sort of relevance to your actual industry. All right, so as you can see over here, what I did is I have a 3-part prompt. I first tell the chat what it is to act as, which is a world-class marketer that can name products and projects to grab attention. The second part is I explain my situation. I've got a new marketing agency that's going to be helping this niche, and I want ultimately a name that signals to that niche that we can get them more jobs and grow their business. Now, what I wanted to produce for me is a table, okay, that includes these columns. I want these meanings. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. All right. You can see these are all very viable names if I were to start a marketing agency in the painting niche. All right. The next thing we're going to do for ourselves is we're going to go ahead and get a logo. Now, we've already gone ahead into ChatGPT and we've already found our name. I personally really like the term paint booked. It's really cool. So what I'm going to tell chat now is I'm going to tell it to make me a logo. All right, so what I've done over here is I've said I like the name Paint Booked. I'd like to have you make me a logo that is square and uses a minimal color palette. It's not busy, but also isn't so basic that it looks like someone just took an icon off of Google and slapped a name below it. All right, give me 2 versions of the logo, one that'll be stylized text only and another that has some sort of visual and the text. All right, so I don't know if it's going to give me 2 right now. I could always, you know, reproduce it for it to give me a second version. All right, so this is what it spat out. I personally really like it. Paint Book, that's pretty cool. It's very minimalist and it's very slick. I actually am very satisfied with this. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, and this is the main part of this. I want you to really pay attention. It's going to be number 3. It's going to be what you would call the unique mechanism. Okay, so now that we did the logo with AI, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to create an offer. Now, this is so important. The most crucial part of the video is this right now. Okay, if you stick around, I'm going to give you a resource that is actually going to change the game for you. So the first thing over here is, what is an offer really? Okay, we want to first know what our niche is. Okay, so we know that our niche, let's just go with painters right now. Okay, so the next thing over here is that we need to have a promise. This is ultimately the transformation that we're taking the person in this niche through. And then the last thing, which is the most important thing, is going to be the unique mechanism, okay? The unique mechanism is the vehicle that we have created that is unique to us and only us, that becomes the reason why they will ultimately be able to achieve this transformation, okay? And in doing so, the unique mechanism needs to have a very strong argument, okay, on exactly how it reaches this promise. All right, so let's first go and work on our promise, okay? The promise needs to be something that the niche ultimately desires, right? And what I want you to understand, and this is a very, very important thing, and I'm actually going to make myself much bigger over here so that you get this. If you're a business selling to another business like a marketing agency, you're ultimately selling money, okay? You're helping them get money. If your promise is as close to I'm going to make you money as possible, you will always win. Now, in most cases, we don't just want to go outright and say that. So what we do instead is we come up with something that's, a little bit more digestible. So for painters, it's generally going to be something along the line of jobs or estimates. If you make a promise around, I'm going to get you this many jobs, I'm going to get you this many estimates, you're in a good spot. So let's just say, for example, you, through your own intuition, through your own confidence, through your own especially competitor research, you're finding that the market is promising, let's say, 30 estimates in 45 days, then go with that. That's your starting point. Generally speaking, what I'd recommend to anyone is you want to make a promise that's based on your largest, most spectacular client result, right? So if I've been able to make someone, $100,000 or $120,000 in 50 days, then I can make a promise around that because it's proved and it's backed by my own stats and my own track record, and I can confidently stand behind that. But generally speaking, there's also a limit to that where if I have, which is true, I've made businesses in the range of $5-10 million, for me to come out and say to the average person in my ads that I'm going to make you I'm going to make you $5 million in X amount of time, it's going to be less believable. So I'd rather make a smaller promise that is more believable. So whenever you're making a promise, it needs to be believable. That's the most important thing. But you also want to ideally have it backed by some sort of evidence that it's possible, either through your own track record or, if you're beginning, the track record of other agencies that are promising something similar. So once you've got the promise down, you then want to go ahead and create the vehicle. And that's something that AI can help us do. So I'm going to pop over to ChatGPT. I've got this custom GPT that I created that I have educated and programmed to be able to spit out spectacular unique mechanism names. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to start off by prompting it. Right, so over here what we've done, since this is already been programmed, we don't need to tell it what it is. Okay, that's the first part of my prompting process usually. I'm just going to get right into exactly what the context is of what I'm trying to do. My marketing company is called this, and this is my promise. I essentially want you to create my unique mechanism, and I want you to give it a 3-part breakdown of how it works to get the promises mentioned. I want you to be concise and detailed. You can also add in over here, I want you to add in, I want you to objection handle on why it's better, more efficient, etc., etc. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to keep it really simple. So let's go ahead and hit enter on that, and let's see what it spits out. 30 full pay paint jobs in 45 days without spending a dime on lead gen that doesn't convert. That's pretty cool. The surface demand system. Okay. Surface aligns with painting. Demand is generating immediate conversion tool, not just leads. Okay, so this is step 1. Hyper-targeted demand zones. Instead of blasting ads across a wide region, we will have isolated micro neighborhoods. Okay. No wasted impressions, so it's going to be 0 cold leads. 3x higher ad to booking conversion, built for local painters, not general contractors. Cool. Pre-sold trust hooks. We engineer invisible credibility. Shortened sales cycle. Cool. The rolling jobs grid. The scheduling system doesn't just get you leads, it helps you stack jobs back to back. Okay, so this has done a decent job. I will give it some caveats over here when you're using this sort of a GPT, is that you want to actually mention a bit more about your product and what it does. I didn't do that over here. So for example, if you're going to have a call center, if you're going to have the ability to book people in for the visit, the consult, whatever it is that you're offering the business on the other side, you want to mention that to this unique mechanism generator, and it'll actually help you create the mechanism as it relates to your product a bit more tightly. So as you can see over here, you've got the 3-part system, and we go ahead and we plug that in over here as well. Now, there's 3 simple steps that you can use to ultimately lock in on the foundation of successful ads before you then scale. So this is really going to be a 1 plus 1 equals 2 approach, okay? 1 over here is audience testing. The next 1 is creative testing. And this 2 that you're going to get by adding these together is going to be scale, okay? So let's go with 1, which is our audience testing, okay? What this is ultimately going to be is you're going to go and test 3 audiences on Meta. You're going to test broad, you're going to test interest, and then you're going to test lookalike, right? Usually you have some sort of a list that you've scraped off the internet. I want you to very simply run 2 ads to each of these ad sets, and the ad sets are going to be set to anywhere from, depending on your budget, $15 to $30 a day, okay? Your job is to see if any of these ends up getting 20 leads, okay, within your KPI. Whatever your KPI is for cost per lead, you want it to generate 20 leads there. And generally speaking, what you'll find is, okay, you know, 1 or 2 of these audiences work well for you. Maybe it's the interest audience. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the interest audience and then you're going to start creative testing. Okay? This is where you then take your 1 ad set, which is going to be your interest ad set, and then you're going to just run 3 ads to it. And as an ad dies, you kill that ad, you replace it with another ad. And your goal is to, again, get 20 leads on at least 3 different ads. Now picture this for a second, right? Imagine you have an audience that has gotten you 20 leads successfully within KPI. Imagine you have 3 different ads, right? So 3 different ads that have gotten 20 leads each. Guess what you now have? You have the ability to scale. Okay, you have the ability to scale. You can put budgets from $500 to about $2,000. Basically what you do over here is you have a campaign, you can put it on campaign budget, and in there you can have your 1 to 2 ad sets that you found over here, right? Remember, in your audience testing? And if you only have 1, that's fine, you have 1. And then in those 1 or 2 ad sets, you have your 3, ideally even 5 ads. And then you can just ramp that budget up. 80% of your budget over time is going to go directly to this. And then another 15% of your budget is going to go towards iterating, so doing more creative testing, iterating this 80% to see if you can find a lift. And then just 5% of your budget is going to go towards big swings. You will easily have an agency that does $100,000 or more. This is the exact structure that I've used, especially the ad structure that I shared with you, to grow not just my agency, as I said, to $2 million a year, but I've also used it to scale multiple other brands, right? Doing the client acquisition for these guys, lots of money spent, and I know that this is going to work for you as well. So I hope this was helpful.